Bader Ginsburg going to be, is she going to side with the conservatives today? Is Stephen Breyer going to side with the conservatives today? Is Sonia Sotomayor or Elena Kagan, are they going to side with the liberals or with the conservatives today? Liberals never have to wonder that. They've got 4 liberal votes in the bank. Boom, they can take them to the bank. They're there. They're solid. Conservatives don't have that. That's the reason why you can't call the court a true 4-4 court. It really is leaning to the left. Well, it's the very same thing in Congress. Republicans control the House. But conservatism doesn't control the House because there's so many liberal Republicans. Now, this is why, and it brings me back to kind of pointing the finger a little bit at the conservative caucus, the House Freedom Caucus in the Republican Party. I would love it, folks. I would love it if all of those centrist, moderate, establishment Republicans were voted out of office. I would just love that. And they were all replaced with a bunch of hardcore conservatives. I think that'd be fantastic. Here's the problem, okay? That's just not the picture. That's not the makeup. These establishment Republicans happen to be in districts and in states with enough centrist, moderate, or Democrat-leaning voters that they're the only people that can get elected. And so when a true conservative runs against them, the true conservative loses. So this is the math. This is the reality. The conservatives in the Republican Party, they're in the minority. They're only 1/3 of the Republican Party and only 1/6 of Congress. So conservatives on the GOP side, you can't fold your arms and demand everything. They should have accepted this Obamacare repeal and replacement. They should have accepted it, even though, yes, I agree it wasn't as conservative as they wanted it to be. But they should have accepted that. They're going to have to. They have no choice but to compromise with the liberal Republicans. They have no choice but to do this. Otherwise, nothing gets done. Nothing gets passed. And that's worse for America because guess what? We now have Obamacare still. It's still the law of the land, and it's going to stay the law of the land for at least a while now. And so you know what that means? That means you have millions of Americans who have had to deal with losing their insurance and losing their doctor and having to switch when they didn't want to. You have millions of Americans who are paying way more in not just premiums, but deductibles than they ever thought that they would before. I mean, you realize how many people are out there paying $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in deductibles? A lot of people are being really hurt by Obamacare. Now, don't misunderstand me. There are people out there that are being benefited by Obamacare. I'm not saying that they're not there also. But as a general rule, Obamacare has caused more pain than it's helped. And now it's the law of the land. You know why? Because the conservatives in Congress, they said, no, we want all or nothing, all or nothing. Well, they got nothing, so we keep Obamacare. Well, what happens with other issues? How about abortion? Look, you folks know how passionately pro-life I am. I've talked about this on the show many times. You know that. But what happens if a 20-week abortion ban starts spreading through Congress? Okay, we get a 20-week abortion ban going on. Now, in my opinion, should abortion be banned at 20 weeks? No, I think abortion ought to be banned from the moment of conception. I don't agree with any kind of abortion. It's all wrong. It should all be illegal, in my opinion. But if I were in Congress and there were a ban on abortion at, we'll say, 20 weeks, would I vote yes for that? You better believe I would vote yes for that. Because something is better than nothing. I don't think the answer is to fold your arms, be a purist, and say, no, we want a complete abortion ban on everything, including rape and incest, or I'm going to vote no. I'm just going to vote no. Can't do that. Because guess what's going to happen? There will be zero restrictions on abortion, and it will stay for all 9 months of pregnancy for any reason whatsoever, including birth control. You know, Trump's budget, let me remind you folks, okay, Trump's budget defunds Planned Parenthood completely. This Obamacare repeal and replacement defunded Planned Parenthood. But now Planned Parenthood's keeping their funding going. So this is something that, as much as I hate to say it, the responsibility is going to fall on the conservatives in the Republican Party to be willing to compromise a little bit and start slowly moving the goalpost more to the right. You have to do this incrementally. If you demand everything, you're going to get nothing. Ronald Reagan understood that. Ronald Reagan used to say, better to get 80% of something good than 100% of something bad, okay, to get nothing out of it. So that's why look, I know there's a lot of people that disagree, and I know there are many of you that are probably saying, no, Bob, the House Freedom Caucus, they were right. They were standing on principle. I don't think it's standing on principle when we now still have Obamacare. And Trump and his stock has been weakened now, so it's going to be that much more difficult. He's got less clout than he had before, so now it's going to be that much more difficult for him to get the next legislative things through. And part of the budget that he wants to get through is completely defunding Planned Parenthood. What I'd like is for Trump to have strong enough clout that he can get the agenda pushed through that he wants. Because if you think about it, the agenda that he's trying to push right now, I would argue, are good and healthy things for America. All right, look, I got more news and politics. We'll dive into it next in a couple of minutes here on the Bob Dutko